Hi, this is Happy Bird from Happy Bird's Glitter Nest.blogspot.com, and I'm really happy to be back. I think the last time I posted was a week or two before Christmas. So during that time, I moved from Southern California to Texas, and this is all new to me because I was born and raised in Southern California. But I'm really enjoying the area. I'm enjoying the people. It's been very nice. So I decided I was going to sit down and make a fun little video for you. And these are little stacked. I call them stacked because they have a 3D effect. I made some little stacked flower embellishments, and I made them out of nothing more than cardstock, paint, and dollar store flatback rhinestones and glitter. That's it. And I think they turned out beautiful. You can use them for all of your paper crafts, card making. This would make a gorgeous card if you put these on the front and drew some little stems with flowers, maybe in a little flower pot or something. Let's see, you can make these, turn these into flower centers for your flowers. I think these would be really pretty, very bold, very pretty. Gosh, there's all kinds of things you can do. You can make little gift card holders, things like that coming up, maybe for Mother's Day even, or Easter, and you have a nice little pre-made embellishment. So there's all kinds of things you can do with them, and you can suggest some ideas down below if you have any as well. And so I'll go ahead and show you how to make these. They're very easy, and I think you'll enjoy them. So stay tuned. Okay, so you can tell that I've already cut this up and punched some flowers out of here, but you're going to need some 110-pound white cardstock, and you can find it at any craft store or on Amazon. Now, if you don't have cardstock that is as thick as this, you can certainly use a weight that's not quite as heavy, but you'll just need to make more flower punches, and I'll show you what I mean by that in a moment. Okay, and then you're going to pick out a flower punch of your choice, and this particular one that I used is 1.5 inches wide. You may want one that's a little smaller or a little larger. It doesn't matter, just your choice, and it doesn't have to look exactly like this flower. So any type of flower punch you want to use, you can use. Now, I did purchase this at Tuesday Morning a couple of weeks ago, and I found it was $4.99, and it had a price tag of originally close to $19. So I picked this up, and I noticed it says thick, so I took that as this punch will punch out thicker paper. So you don't have to have one that says thick to punch this out. You can use just a regular flower punch and it'll work absolutely fine. And so I really like this punch, and I don't generally care for Fiskars, but with this particular punch I really was happy with. Alright, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take some Beacon Fabri-Tac. It's permanent adhesive. I really like this. I learned about this watching Created to Create, and I believe the lady's name is Ida. She seems like a very sweet person. And so she said she liked using this because when you put the Fabri-Tac on your paper craft, it dries flat. It doesn't seem to curl. And so I tried this and I absolutely love it. The only regret I have about this is that I didn't get the big bottle. I bought the little bottle. So I'll have to go back and get some more. And I also like that this does dry fairly quickly. It seems to anyway. And like I said, if you're using a lower weight cardstock, just punch 3 or 4 and put them together instead of 2. And when the glue dries, it will it'll be nice and tough, just like a regular piece of chipboard. Okay, so I'm just kind of making sure all of the petals are even, like that. And I'm going to allow this to thoroughly dry, okay? And then we'll come back and I'll show you what else we're going to do. Okay, so once these are completely dry, you see that they're rock hard, just like chipboard, okay? So we're going to use 2 of these for our little flowers. And the first one, I'm going to paint a pastel color. I like to stick to the pastel colors for the spring flowers. And the fact that the base here is already white kind of makes it easier for me to work with, simply because I can paint over this any color I'd like, or you know, use marker, whatever I want to do, paint pen. Now I do want a light color on this one and a light color on this one, but I don't want it to be the same color. All right, and so I'm going to put a lighter color at the bottom, and I know I only have this Folk Art metallic paint in Amethyst. It has a metallic finish, and I know it's not exactly what you would call pastel, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a little paint down here, and then I'm going to grab some white paint, and I'm just going to put in a little at a time. And turn it into a pastel color. And I do this with a lot of my paints that are brighter than I want them to be. That's a nice color, but I think I'm going to go a little bit lighter. And if I get it too light, I can always put in a little more of the amethyst. But I think this will work out just fine. And I like to paint these with cosmetic sponges that I buy from the Dollar Tree. Yeah, it's kind of a pretty color now. I think that will work just fine. All right, so I'll show you what I use. Cosmetic wedges, there's 28 in a package from the Dollar Tree. And I like to take my scissors for smaller projects like this and just cut these in 3 and then use these pieces here. And since I already had that fly into the paint, I'll go ahead and use that. And I'm just going to take this and just paint with it, sponge it up and down, just like this. Yeah. If you don't want to get your hands messy, you can use one of the little tweezers to hold it by one of the petals as you paint these. They also carry the tweezers, 3 in a pack, in the tool section at the Dollar Tree. And sometimes I do that when I don't want a big mess on my hands, but right now I don't really care. Now you can choose to do just the front and the back if you'd like, or just the front. It's totally up to you, but today, just for the heck of it, I'm going to do the back as well. Why not, huh? Okay, that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to stand it up like that and let it dry. Okay, so I did also paint a little pink flower right after I painted the purple. I lost the footage, so I thought I would slip this into the video. And all I did to create this pastel pink color was I used the Martha Stewart multi-surface satin paint in peppermint bark, and then I just lightened it up a little bit with some titanium white paint by Folk Art, and this is also multi-surface. So now we have the purple piece and the pink piece, and we'll move on with the video. Okay, my pieces are dry, so now I have to decide, do I want the top to be a little more of the pink tone or the purple tone? So I decided that I wanted more of a purple tone in my glitter, so that will be my top piece. Okay, so before I glue these together, I'm going to take the purple one and we're going to mix up a little bit of glitter. Now I showed you guys a few videos back, I believe, how I mixed my glitters with different types of sizes and different cuts of glitter and whatnot, and I have them placed in here. This is just excess that I've used in other projects. So you're going to use a white iridescent base, and by the way, I picked this up at Michael's, and look how much you get. 10 ounces of glitter in here, and it's a real pretty iridescent color. It's called Spin It by We Are Memory Keepers, and I used my 50% off coupon, so I got this, I believe, for $5 for all this glitter for the bag, and I just think it's so pretty. So you know, decide what iridescent glitters you want to use and mix them all together. It could be iridescent tinsel glitters, chunky glitters, ultrafine glitters, even the jumbo glitters. Okay, so I'm just going to pour a little bit in here to start with, just like that. Okay, so I found these two purple glitters in my stash. I don't believe this exists any longer, but at one time it did. It's called Fairy Dust, and it's a tinsel glitter, but they do have some tinsel glitters I've seen now in the craft stores as well as Walmart. And this is the ultra fine glitter in Orchid. Okay, so I'm not putting a ton. I want you to understand that I just want a hint of purple, so I'm going to add a little bit of that and just a smidgen of this. And basically what I'm doing is I'm giving the iridescent glitter a little bit of a purple tone to it. It's not going to be completely purple. I don't want it to overpower the white iridescent glitter, because then I think it just looks kind of yucky. See? Just a little bit. Okay. So I'm going to use Ranger's Glossy Accents to put on top of this and add the glitter. You can use triple thick if that's what you have. You can use Mod Podge Dimensional Magic if that's what you have. Just use a clear resin type glue that's going to hold the glitter on. So nothing is worse than having glitter falling all over the place. And I know this really holds that glitter in, so that's why I'm using this. Now, I've never used the Fabri-Tac as far as seeing how it holds glitter. I'll probably have to do a little test on that, I imagine. And see if it does or doesn't. Or if you've used it, let me know in the comments below how it worked for holding glitter. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of this at a time and sprinkle it on. Set this down for a second. I have a lot of fun mixing my own glitters now. I think you can really get some beautiful combinations by taking your time. Okay, so now you understand why I painted this a pastel purple underneath, because it really brings out the purple in the glitter. So you can use any shade of purple underneath this. Any shade will work fine, but I find that the pastel shades really look pretty. And like I said, if that was going to be pink on the top instead, then I would have just painted it pastel pink like I did this. And I just think it just makes such a difference. Okay. Now if you want, you can take a little wooden popsicle stick and kind of tap it down. I'm just using the back of my spoon handle there, but just to make sure it's nice and tight in there. All right. And if you see any little fuzzies, just kind of wipe them off. You might have to go in into the little sections here with the side of a popsicle stick and to brush away the little fuzzies. And I'm not going to shake it, I'm just turning it over once and tapping it down again. And so now I'm going to allow this to dry thoroughly. We want this dried thoroughly because we're going to be using a little bit of hot glue on the ends of the petals, gluing on either rhinestones or pearls. We'll decide once this is completely dried. So make sure this is completely dried and cured, okay, before you go on to the next step. Okay, so as you can see, our little glittered flower is completely dried, and it's probably best if you allow this to dry overnight. So now we're going to put this together, and I'm going to have the purple on the top, and I'm going to be staggering the petals so the top petal is in between the bottom two petals. Okay, it just makes it look a little fuller that way. Alright, so we're going to be needing some foam mounting dots. Actually, you can use the squares if you wanted to as well. These are from, I believe, the Dollar Tree, although they do carry them at the 99-cent store. Forgot the scissors here. Okay, so just going to peel off one of them, put that in the middle, and then just peel the top. And you want these foam mounts because it gives your little flowers more dimension. Okay, make sure you have it exactly where you want it. And then press. Okay? Alright. So now we're going to need rhinestones and pearls. You can actually use anything for the center of these flowers, but I decided since I had so many of the little flat back adhesive rhinestones and pearls that I might as well use those. And I chose an assortment of the smaller Dollar Tree ones. I think they're 6mm, if I'm not mistaken, and then the larger, bolder ones that I found at the 99-cent store. Okay. I think this was the only one here, this clear flower, with the exception of the top, that I found at an actual craft store, but the rest are just dollar store gems. Okay, so I think I'm going to start by placing some, maybe some, yeah, maybe I'll do the pink. No, I think I'll do the purple at the bottom. Some purple rhinestones. And I bought these at the 99-cent store. I used to live in an area where the 99-cent store was just down the street from where I lived. Well, pretty much down the street. I would say maybe 2 miles away. I consider that down the street. But since I moved to Texas, the closest one that I know of to me is in Fort Worth, and that's about 29 miles from here. Okay, and I'm going to use my little hot glue gun, simply because I don't want it to I'm sorry about that. Okay. Yeah, I started to say that I'm using my hot glue gun because I want to make sure those are permanent and they don't fall off. Now I will say that they do stick pretty good around the bottom part with the paint, but with the glitter you need some hot glue. Okay, but that's just what I noticed anyway. Alright, so I'm sitting here yakking. Okay, and I'm just going to put this on each one. If you wanted to leave one of those rhinestones off at the bottom, you could poke a little hole in here and dangle like a little charm or something from the bottom. I bought these at Hobby Lobby about a week ago, and I bought them because they were marked down to $1.49, and I figured, wow, that's pretty good because I could take all these little charms off here, and they're pre-made, so why not? Okay. And if you would like, you can fast forward this part if I'm too slow for you, and I know at times I am. Okay, so we're just going to go all the way around just like this. And then last one. Like so. Okay. So, I think the top, I could use another set of rhinestones if I wanted to at the top, but I think I might use pearls. But before I actually put the pearls on the top part here, I'm going to grab these gemstones and I want to put a large one in the center. And I like the big bold look. I think it looks very pretty. And with these, you can even take that completely off, that's fine. I'm going to some hot glue. And place that in the center. I don't want hot glue running out the sides. Okay, and so I'm going to put maybe a lighter color on top, maybe a light pink, since we have pink at the bottom. So I'm going to be grabbing this. And I'm going to take this light pink color and I'm going to put that on top, just like that. And we'll put, like I said, little pearls around here, I think, and maybe pink. I think pink pearls would look pretty around there. I'll see if I can find some, and it'll give it even more dimension. Okay, these are about as pink as I can find them. So I'll take that off and put a little hot glue. I'm just going to put it here on the tips of the petals. I just barely squeeze the handle, or the trigger, I'm sorry, not the handle, of the glue gun in order to put just the tiniest amount of hot glue. And then this gives it a little more dimension with this set of pearls around here. And I just think these are so pretty for so many things. I mean, if you wanted to, you could certainly, you don't have to make these in pastel colors, but I just think they look so pretty. I mean, if you were making these, let's say, for Christmas, you could use a traditional, you know, red and green, and, you know, that's dark. And you can do the same thing. Just remember to paint the colors you're going to use. Like if you're going to use red and green, you're going to want to paint, you know, one flower red and the other flower green, and then, you know, decide what your top flower is going to be as far as the glitter. Let's say you choose red, well, then you don't cover it with red, and it'd be fine, because with the red paint down below, it's not going to look like you missed any spaces or anything like that. And that's one of the reasons too that I make pastel colors. It's pretty easy to cover with the pastel colors. If there's any open spaces, you know, especially if it's painted underneath. So I hope I'm making sense. I'm making sense to me, but I hope I'm making sense to you. So basically that's pretty much it. If you wanted to, you could add some little leaves or anything you want. But I think they turn out really nice, and I had a lot of fun making these, and I plan on making a few more. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and God bless each and every one of you, and you take care.